Alrighty, let's go over price from last week. We've restarted it back. Let me remove these. Cool. All right. So on the daily, on EU, we've obviously come up, swept this high. This is important and something that I didn't account necessarily for well enough, which is what caused a whole bunch of break evens, and giving profits back. But I'll walk through that obviously. And then on GU, we're in this 4 hour area, but this is retest on a like daily retest. So we're not expecting this to hold. We're more or less expecting this area here based off the take of that liquidity. Like that's kind of the draw on liquidity. And both pairs play very well into that. So that higher time frame actually played really well this week. Um, on the hourly, as you can see, to start the week off, actually we'll start on the 4 hour. Start the week off, we had a 4 hour inducement of a low on GU at the exact same time we were respecting on EU. So we've got this 4 hour point that sits below here with a bit of imbalance, which is a huge draw on magnetized price. But given we had that inducement on GU at the same time, while respecting here, you can kind of see that GU inducing low was forcing this pair to kind of stay above this area here. And when I get down to a lower time frame, we'll be able to investigate as to why. So hourly time frame, what have we got? We've got obviously an external break. And we did have break, retest, push on the 15-minute, take of retest, inducement into mitigation of a bigger area, and then push, retest, push. So this for us was protected structure, this entire area here with a whole bunch of inducements into it on the 15-minute, which I'll point out to you guys as well. So we know that that area is going to hold. Basically on the 15-minute, it tells a pretty good story of that. Like I said, you've got break, retest, push, pull down. So this is a very, very strong area. Not only was that strong area then mitigated on the way down, so you've got internal break, push. You've then got the next break that occurs here, which then has retest again. So it gave another inducement, push, take of retest, which showed a strong point. This strong point here was then taken. So we had an internal break to the downside. So pushing through these points is a really, really good inducement. And they're the ones you look for at New York. Points that have taken retest are very, very important points. But they obviously give reactions because, like I said, important points. But we kind of had that struggle here as we had taken daily liquidity. So it was kind of fighting off each other. You kind of expect that first 15-minute point, which holds weight, to get blown through. You've then got break, which retested and push. We've then taken that retest here, mitigated this area of supply, which holds area up here. So this 15-minute area is our decisional, which then broke through that next low here. Like I said, just working our way down. So this confirms this not as an inducement, but as a break by retesting. Like I said, we've got this stream up here. So we're creating a really, really good structure cycle on the way down. Next point of inducement is that 15-minute retest here. Obviously, and you guys should be getting this the more I go through it. We've induced liquidity. We've come into a valid demand because it's got an inducement reaction up. Obviously, this demand doesn't hold a lot of weight, so it's not going to get a big reaction. But that timing happened at London, so it's something you could have looked at there. Obviously, the previous week, we've got equal highs as that retest, and then continue low here. Now, off of the take of this low, we mitigated this area in here, which is the origin of that second leg of structure. So you've got push, come down, mitigation of that second leg, and then push. So more or less, you've got kind of one stayed in this area, didn't break that high, and push up. So very, very clear demand, very clear demand. Obviously, they've mitigated each other, so that's more or less the extreme demand of this range, and then push up. We've broken that retest. We've then created a bit of liquidity and pushed up to the upside. But inside here, we did had a very small internal break. So we've got break, retest, push here, break of retest, pull down to a mitigation, just following structure, inducement into mitigation, lead out, break of structure. Okay. Very, very good second leg. Really, really nice with what's happening. At the exact same time, GU's come down to the downside. Now, this is where like the finer details mattered on EU. In here, our 5-minute range is this low to this high. At the same time as this inducement, EU actually induced this area and broke to the upside. So 5-minute inducement. So we're just getting buyers in control. That's all we're getting here. And as we said, that's our decisional. It's obviously been mitigated. Break, retest. I did go through this in the case study, so this was quite an in-depth one. So we've got retest, which we know is obviously that smart money trap or a weak point, we like to call it, but we've taken lots of liquidity, so we expect to take liquidity after that. Taken 5 minute at the same time, we've got break to the upside, retest into mitigation of an extreme here, breakout push, retest, which hasn't been taken. We've got an area of demand that also sits below us here, a little bit of an imbalance that sits there, and that's our next 5 minute structure to the upside here. Now, obviously, there is some concern as we have taken a lot of liquidity. So we've taken that retest point here, we've then broken, but we're working in a bearish range. The reason we're working in a bearish range, we've had that break of important structure, retest and push. So it's showing us that this demand does hold weight and it's going to give us a reaction. We've obviously coming back up to that demand now, but we're coming from an extreme here. So because we're coming from extreme at the same time that we're inducing low, given the structure cycle, it's expected we will take this out and this will just induce the entire way. Okay, just based on the structure cycle. That's how we know the structure cycle works. We can look to sell at every point, given that we have taken daily liquidity, but more or less structure cycle, fake to braille low, come to demand. We're expecting supplies to get induced to then build liquidity to the downside, to then come take it later when structure tells us. So using those things, we can kind of see what's happening. We've then got obviously this very, very small internal break, which does break. Retest area, which I can mark out here. What do we know about retest? More or less smart money trap or weak supply. And this is the extreme here. So given the structure cycle of this internal 5 minute range, we've pulled down, we've broken, we haven't retested and broken again. So this is more than likely at the moment being treated as an inducement. If it's not, we can expect a return to induce something else to then push lower and give us a big 5 minute two leg, inducing liquidity. So we've got to induce higher to induce low and so on and so forth. At the moment, we're just inducing lower and pushing higher. Okay. We're not inducing any buyers in at the moment. Like I said, just inducing those sellers. So obviously, we can push into the timing of London. Getting there if I can slowly. Yeah. All right. So we're in that timing. So what is price giving us? We've obviously got inducement of GU, 5 minute break, retest and push. So GU is telling us that this point holds value as a demand. Okay. 4 hour take of liquidity, bullish confirmations telling us that it will hold. What do we know about taking a 4 hour low? We're more than likely going to get through the next piece of structure. Now, if we read structure to the downside on GU, we've pulled down low, which has induced liquidity and pushed back up. We have not had break and retest upwards. So at the moment, we're not surprised that it's pushed through this low, okay, because it didn't give us that bullish structure from the next take of liquidity. It's just broken, pulled back down, and hasn't done anything after that. So it hasn't induced enough sellers into the market at all. All it's doing is just inducing buyers. Hence, we've taken that liquidity now. This is not a strong demand given no break, no retest, like I've just explained. Obviously, we've taken to the low. We did then not break and retest. So this area is now area of weak supply. Okay. What else is this area? It's just a liquidity fest, as you can see by all the wicks. I mean, I can draw the trend line if you want to. Here, which is, I don't know, perfect in my eyes. 3 taps, 4 taps on the fifth tap's kind of been pushed through. But given we did not break and retest, we're looking that this is an inducement. We've then had bullish confirmations to the upside. We're expecting the first point to get kind of ripped through. If we follow structure, we've got break, pull up, retest, and push. We've then broken that structure here. We've then retested here and pushed lower. So we're expecting this next area not to hold as much as the liquidity below. Okay. Yeah, we're expecting that to be a weak supply, given obviously the context of what's going on. That lines up with EU, which is beautiful, but that's what we're expecting to have happen. In order for this to play out like it should, we're expecting an inducement lower. Okay, we use that session timing to obviously depict when that happens. That's when we look, and we go from there. So we watch session timing. We'll actually mark out some stuff on GU because I'm not sure if there was an entry on GU. We also got pull down, break, retest, push. So for GU to induce, it has to induce this. Once it's induced this, we're expected to push, okay? Now, it can keep inducing as low as it needs to into this area to push back higher, but we're expecting this to create an inducement, which we have, and kind of go from there. So if we read its structure the other way, just in case the supply holds, we've got break, retest, push. We've then taken that retest here. If price decides to break that low, we've now got a strong demand, okay? This supply. So this supply will hold until we reach a point where buyers can get back in control. For me, kind of got area of demand here. Like I said, I don't know if it comes down here. That area of demand does hold value. It has mitigated. Um, all it's trying to do is induce sellers into the market. We'll kind of see how that plays out. Like I said, I don't know if there's an entry on GU at all, but we will watch and we will see. Cool. So, what is GU not doing? Breaking the low. Okay. Adding up to what we like. So this point is showing that it is not a take of retest, it's a break. All we need now is the second confirmation, which will show buyers are in control from this point. Okay, so we will wait and see. Well, we're acting off that point now. Coming into market here. Okay, so we've taken that liquidity, which is the liquidity from over here. Okay, we've taken that right here, got take of liquidity, retest. So we've got weak structure to target because we haven't retested and then broken the next low again. Same thing applies. Break, have not retested and pushed lower. It's looking like it could be an inducement. Okay. At the same time, GU has given that second confirmation. As far as I'm concerned, you can go ahead and set this on GU, but we'll watch and see what happens anyway. We've then got all we want to see from this point, from this inducement, is exactly what we've seen to the left, is buyers in control. GU has confirmed buyers in control from that inducement by what's happened. It's showing that buyers are in control from this point. In order to push back past this point, we need to take liquidity. The next level of liquidity is this high. Okay? So we can watch what happens. If we read structure here, we've got buyers in control, pull down, buyers in control, pull down, push up, buyers in control. Coming into last supply area, if we read structure, we've got take of equal highs here, push and break, retest, push, internal structure. We've now taken a seller's point. We've come into that last supply. This is a point where sellers can get in control. Where can buyers get in control next? Well, it's created an internal two leg with a retest here. So we've got an area of sell side liquidity. We've got an area of demand in which we're could be respecting buyers in control. And all we're looking for is a mitigation of this point, which will induce sellers, and obviously both sides of the market will play together. Okay. What do we also know about normal points where you get equal high take, push down, inducement push? This point normally won't hold. Okay. Now, this is that continuation entry of that smart money entry we will look at. And all we're looking for is quicker action down, quicker action up, continuation entry. Okay. We're not inducing 15-minute structure for a reversal. We're continuing from our inducement of the day, which was down here. Okay. That is key to understand. So all we're looking on for is both pairs to respect. On GU, if you were watching, you could borderline already set this and cover the lows. That's something you could do, not something I will do, but based on what's happened, you can go ahead and set this. We'll say the highs are up there fucking somewhere, and you can go ahead and set that. Okay? Following inducements of the day, that's what's happening. All right. So you can go ahead and set that. Like I said, I don't even know if that plays out, but it's valid. And we'll see what this does at the same time. So EU pushes into this demand area. GU respecting demand. We're not pushing through this low. We're not pushing through any low. It's giving just bullish structure. Like I said, quicker action down, inducement. Sellers are in there. No limit for us yet though. Break of structure. What does GU do at the same time? Exactly what we want to see. It gives another bullish confirmation here. So you're in GU now. You can now set GU again. The second entry, either or. here. Both entries are valid. The break even is the take of this high, like we've just discussed. EU, you're setting an entry off of realistically whatever point you like. I think there's like a 2 minute point here, which is what I went off of. Like that. I think I had a 5.5. Beautiful. That's my break even here. But I also understand that this is a smart money trap. So realistically, if price is going to respect inducements, you can hold full to here. Okay. 1 to 3.4, that's a valid trade to take. Me, I was looking at here. 1 to 4. Like I said, first trade of the week, I will take partials. So I was happy to take partials at a 1 to 3 here. Okay. See what both pairs do. Quicker action, indicating that smart money trap. So we're seeing buyers in control. We've taken a little bit of that liquidity now, so it's a little bit risky to look at entering. You've got two entries on GU that you could have taken. We're now getting a break and retest on GU. So that's something you can also look at once it breaks, if it breaks. Okay. All messing around, break and retest. You now have a third entry confirmation that you can take if you would like to on GU. Take that, covering the lows, near the highs. Like I said, I don't know if this will tap in. Still holding on EU. You haven't been taken out at break even. Pull down on EU, respect on GU. No sellers are getting control here and push to the upside. Okay. No tag on the third entry. You've now got two entries here that are pushed through that smart money trap. So both are break even. If we were to manage these here, you've got one sitting on 1 to 2.4 and the others hit 1 to 3. So you've taken a partial on the first entry on GU, you've taken a partial on EU, and now you're looking at where your long-term targets are. We've got, obviously, like I said, this entry here. If we understand we're coming from that there, you can hold 1 to 10, 1 to 13, which is probably what I would do if I was to redo this trade. But I was happy to target 1 to 7 at the full at this high. So I think I did 1 to 6.5 at the top of this point. On GU, there's like you just target the highs for a 1 to 7 and a 1 to 6. Okay. GU, there makes no sense to take any money off the table unless you take off the take of that liquidity, expecting 15-minute inducement. You may get a reversal coming back down to extreme. That is why you take partials. This is a perfect example of why you take partials. 15-minute inducement, 15-minute inducement, 5-minute inducement coming into extreme to push higher. Okay, so that's a reason you would do it. This liquidity has now made up for itself and taken the next level of liquidity. Okay, we play price. Full profit hit basically on EU now. Okay, so you've taken full on EU, which is where I took full there. GU, you're approaching your next take profit. You're now coming in closer to New York. We'll obviously see what happens. Now, as for what is happening, we know that this point, like I said, could have been the two legs. So you're going to get a reaction either way. It's either going to bring sellers in or it's going to push down and continue lower to create those, to keep pushing as sellers. Because sellers can get in control from here. It's just unlikely. Okay. Push down on both pairs. Coming into New York now. Funny enough, what does New York give you? It gives you break, inducement low into the mitigation of this area, just where buyers got in control. So if we try and read it, obviously the Newsweek makes it hard. You've got push down, take of liquidity, push, take of retest of the external break here, pushing back up, smart money trap reaction, smart money trap reaction, quick down, quick up. This entire area is smart money. This is enough to induce something. What does it do? It just induces into the mitigation of this. I imagine it takes a 15-second low and continues to the upside. Now, you could have entered, as we know, smart money trap, pull down low, take of a recent low down here. This is the internal break and retest that sits here. So that is valid to set. You've now got a bigger two leg that sits in here. So you can set this, or you can set this as covering the extreme low, valid to set. How do we know this is a smart money trap? Quicker action down, quicker action up. That's valid to set. Okay. Like I said, I won't trade with the Newsweek, but it's valid to set as a continuation. Understanding that my next point that I'm kind of concerned about is that extreme. Okay. So that's a valid entry. Like I said, not one that I took based on the news, but setting that here, 1 to 3 covering the high. I won't go larger than 8 pip stop loss. 1 to 3 here. Okay, we'll see if it hits. GU's just hit your full take profit. EU's reacting back down. All right, cool. Break even on EU. Obviously, like, oh no, you're still going. Is there any questions on any of those entries? GU's clean as well. GU's actually a lot cleaner than EU. EU was quicker to get into, but all valid. Continuation entries. Obviously, see if it hits take profit. I don't know if EU will. The EU catch the break even here, which sucks. Okay, but valid. And then both you've got 1 to 6 on EU on GU, 1 to 7, and then 1 to 6 on EU, and you could also target those highs. Okay. Start the next session. Yeah. Okay. So, funnily enough, we've come back into that demand that broke the high. This was a supply to demand that broke that internal high here. You've then got the internal retest. So, it's not funny that we've come back to this. It's then induced into that break, 5 minute break, inducement into mitigation. See you later. At the same time, GU on the 15 minute has broken this high here. We've then retested and broke. That's my retest. We've then pulled down, level of retest, break. This is a valid supply area to look from, as it's shown bearish confirmations from a 15 minute inducement. So we've got an area of supply that sits here, so it can sell from here, especially given that we know as we take 15 minute structure, especially into the mitigation of that 4 hour point, that you're more than likely going to burn through that next point. So it makes sense to sell here. At the same time, EU has come into its extreme. So both make sense to give a reaction. We'll see what happens. GU blows through it, EU blows through it. Absolute disregard for everything, which is beautiful. So we've obviously got pull down, we've then pulled back up and broken that here. And we've broken that extreme. Yeah, so that one was a break even. I'll leave that on there. And I'll leave the two GUs on there as well. So we've broken the high. Is it a break or is it an inducement? GU, we have not got break and retest, so it's looking like an inducement. EU, we've had a daily inducement, medium inducement. This is where my analysis was incorrect. It's more than likely an inducement. Okay, so from here, sells make sense. Same with GU at the same time inducing a 15 minute high. It's valid to start looking now. Okay. So this was, funnily enough, New York. Now, we didn't end up taking this trade, but it was valid. I know some of us actually sent it out. Based on what had happened, it actually made sense to set. It's just so against, like we know, so against momentum. So you've got EU, which is just done a two-leg retest and push. Very, very risky to set off of just the inducement of a two-leg, but that is valid to set. And this was too late in the session to look anyway. GU, you obviously had 1 minute break, retest and push. You wouldn't necessarily get in that. Obviously, this is too late for us to trade, but if you trade any time, that's an entry you should have been looking at. Just understanding the risk that comes with it. But we haven't got 15 minute break and retest, so I'm not seeing bullish signs from that point. Okay, so that's just something to look at moving forward. Play to that next time window. Heal. All right, groovy. So, like I said, looking like an inducement, we've basically got to see what the go is from there. So if we read 15 minute structure, our last protected area of structure is more or less this one here. Okay. Just reading structure, like I said, we've got break, retest, break, retest, area, 15 minute structure, push. So that's more or less our area that's going to be respected. If we look at GU at the same time, we've got break, retest, pushed, retest, push. So this area here on the 15 minute holds value, inducement into mitigation, like so. Both inducement into mitigation, high time frame aligns. This is where we can look. You fucking dokey. Giving the session timing, we've obviously pushed up into this area of supply that broke the low. So it's definitely bit of misconception here in terms of what's going to hold. We've come into that supply. At the same time, we've actually induced this area of supply. So, given those things working together, it's definitely risky. But given the medium inducement into mitigation and the higher time frame, you kind of want to trade for you're expecting this to go up higher. So we're looking for those confirmations. So reading price, you've obviously got this area break and retest here. This is a supply to demand area that sits internal. So reading 1 minute structure internal is the same as reading 15-minute structure internal. What have we got? Push into supply, supply to demand, break and retest, and push. You've then obviously got break and retest. So this area is retest is protected by two levels of inducements. So we can expect that once we get there, we can get a reaction. We can kind of look to trade that. At the same time, we've got push into here, supply to demand, break, which gave you break here, retest and push. So marking out these areas, we've got this area here, just below the retest. Yeah, let me. And we've got a retest that sits here, and we've got a retest that sits here. Okay, so now just like we were reading 15-minute structure, we need to read it in the opposite direction. Okay, break, retest, has not retested and pushed. Okay, so if we get bullish confirmations from this area, it is worth taking the risk. On the opposing end, on GU, we've got inducement, we've got break, retest, and push. So it's more than likely that this area of retest here that sits below an area that is unmitigated, you can kind of expect this to be induced. So that's something we can target. Okay. If we're reading structure, we've got push, we've got push like that. That's an area of extreme demand. What do we get off the extreme demand? I didn't bother trading the rest of this because obviously I'd taken a win for the week, so I was all good. We've got inducement, got break. For me, that was a valid entry to take off of a break, given what you're targeting. But if you're not interested in that, that is fine. This did actually break and retest on the 15-second, but more or less, once you get internal break, pull down, retest, and push, you can now set it off the two leg. This stop loss was huge, so no one would have taken it, but that was the entry here. Obviously, that's your break even point. There was no huge areas for continuations. Obviously, this is a continuation from a reversal point because you're not trading the initial reversal. So you're looking for a smart money trap reaction. Okay. We know that this area is that area of smart money here. So you can go either or. We know the entire area itself is consumed. That isn't an internal break, so I'm not too concerned. You've got price hold down here. You've then got price push up, pull down, push up, quick inducement, quick inducement. That's one you can look at. Obviously, a little bit riskier given how close you are to the break even, but it's worth the limit. Either or was. In terms of EU, the EU is very, very hard to read because it hasn't given an entry, but you're showing buyers in control. Okay. Buy push up, pull down, buy push up, two leg that's worth the limit. I wouldn't set it, but it is worth it, and we'll obviously see what happens. This you're catching a break even on, given that you're so close to the high, and this here you're running a 1-to-1. So this is a break even if you were to take this entry. EU for me, I don't like anything yet, especially once we've induced this high. We've got a second break to the upside, so it's telling me buyers in control. This area here is more than likely a smart money trap, but I haven't got my entry model. And for me, an entry model I need to see. Um, I've got no inducements in here. So the only way you would take this is just expecting that buyers are showing ultimate control, which means your entry would be based off the last break of structure, which would be here. You would cover the inducement low here, and you would target the external high on both. Okay. Didn't like the entry model, but given the circumstances, it's something you can take. You've obviously got break, internal break here, retest, push, and then there's internal retest here. So you either decide to set a limit and cover the low, or set a limit and cover this low. Like I said, it was too risky for me to take, so I didn't take either. If you were just to go off the recent low, we'll see if you get smoked, which it looks like you're going to. And news came out anyway. So Break even on both of these. And like I said, you wouldn't take this. That's just more or less just using momentum, not an entry model. Both entry models here catch a break even. Um, and that's just kind of how it goes. News, you wouldn't have taken, you probably would have taken profits on both. So not looking at anything exciting. But hopefully they make sense. And we'll see where they end up. And they all go anyway. So just gnarly. In terms of taking a trade in this long term, like I said, both are break evens. I didn't take either of these, and I didn't take EU either. In terms of entry models themselves, this I don't see an entry personally. This is just the use of liquidity to go. This more or less you've got break, pull down, push. So two breaks of structure, not reaching external supply from a point that didn't break and retest, from a medium inducement into the last 15-minute mitigation, going with structure, high time frame targets. This is worth the limit, but it's an hour after, so it depends if you're still up. But your limit would be based off of this low. You would cover the external load just in case of inducement. You would then target the high, and you would probably pip this out underneath that internal retest. So you go, like I said, I go nothing over an 8 like that. That could be an entry. So definitely one to like take a photo of and put in your journaling for the week. Because this is a valid entry. Most of us would have gone to sleep, especially after it started chopping sideways. But you guys should see like the internal structure here is the reason inducements were happening. This here, very, very hard to read, but you should have understood where price was reacting from and why it held value and why it was worth taking trades and going break even if you possibly could. Just understanding that this wanted to come to that external low, but that's worth a limit. I'll leave it up there. Hard one to read, especially if you've gone to bed, and it's a limit just off the second leg, off of the second break of structure. But for me, I can't see a reason as to why this wouldn't be valid. 15-minute inducement into mitigation. Um, this point, like I said, you didn't get break and retest down here. You've obliterated this point enough momentum of both areas, etc., and so forth, and we'll obviously see it takes the high. Okay. Mistrade, I would say that's actually a mistrade. Alrighty, so next day. All right, on EU, we have not broken the high. What have we got? We've got internal break, retest, and push. So we are getting bearish signs on EU. Context, daily, medium inducement, push. It is telling us that sellers are in control. In terms of reaction points, we've got 15-minute point, break, retest, push. So we've got protected low. We've also got break, retest, push. So multiple areas of break and retest sitting internal here that we can react off. All of them happened at the timing of the session, which was fucking annoying. Okay. At the same time, we've come into this point and like nipped it, like literally nipped it, and we've pushed to the downside. So this 15-minute point you would expect to get taken out. But given we've got break and retest and push, we'll use a systematic approach and we'll have a look inside this little leg of price. Anyway, we'll have a quick look. Okay. So London opened in an awful spot. What have we got? We've got obviously take of high, no break and retest. Take of high, no break and retest. So buyers are not in control. We've obviously got price, we've got extreme, and this is that internal structure again. You guys are seeing a lot more big ranges at the moment, so you've got to know how to read them. You've got push, inducement, push. Because this didn't induce this low here, this more than likely won't hold as it didn't take internal anything. Like we know, points that take retest hold more weight. For me, it's just a random point of demand, more likely going to get popped through there. You've then got, if you would like to use that as an internal point, you can. It's fine. Same thing on EU. We've got here, this did break through a little liquidity here and push. So this demand will hold weight, but I don't expect it to hold long term. We'll obviously see. Nothing interesting yet. More or less this internal point here, which has retest sitting below it, but it's also a take of retest. I'm expecting both points to hold. Okay. So given we've induced a high, I'm expecting us to induce a low. Okay. This is a strong point given we've taken retest. That is something that we could look at inducing because there isn't a whole bunch of liquidity in between those 2 points. So this point more than likely is the liquidity. Okay. And we'll see what obviously happens. All right. So GU has come into the point as EU's come into that point. Nothing we can necessarily do now. Timing's a bit shitty now. Still not breaking the high. Still no buyers in control. Cool. Buyers in control, possibly on EU. Still not in control. Still not in control on GU. We've then got retest here with a point here, and we haven't reacted off our point yet. There's still a bit of imbalance. So we've definitely got a bit of 50-50, but sellers are now in control again. Okay. And obviously you've got break, retest, push, so both points were valid to sell from. But that was the important structure. So I'm not really worried about this. To me, that's equal lows, not break and retest, not really concerned on that. I more view this as the area of supply. So we've pushed into that point, seeing sellers in control, no buyers at all. Okay. We've now got equal lows. When there's equal lows, you can set a limit. That's an entry model. I was already off the chart now, but that is an entry model you can look at. EU, still nothing. Still nothing. Would have missed you by the smallest pip. So you delete that now. In this point now, nothing, no one's in control. Inducement, same time EU's in that point. Equal highs, break and retest. So we've kind of got that holds a lot of liquidity up the top. At the same time, we've got that divergence on GU. So really, really clean. Not a lot to work with as of yet. It didn't necessarily break that. It's really close. I actually kind of like that as a limit. Yeah. Okay. Coming to that point here, definitely in a supply, but we've got very, very small break. It's up to you what you use as the break. For me, I would use that break, retest and push, protected by structure, inducement, still in that point, still in that 15-minute point with liquidity to target above. The break and the retest, like I said, is already done. This to me is just a weak supply area as it didn't break the external low. And we've got trend line, all the rest of it. EU's reacting from a good point at the same time. Okay, we're tagged in. EU's not necessarily giving an entry. I think this is where Sean entered. Like I said, it's valid based on GU. There's nothing wrong with it. If it goes, that's not bringing me. Um, nothing yet. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Still nothing. Cool. You would then move. Fuck, that's like borderline equal lows. You would probably move your stop below here and halve your risk. EU itself still hasn't given that entry. You've now got more equal high targets here, both pushing. No entry on EU that I love, but based on GU, perfectly fine. 1 to 3 is the high. I wouldn't be taking anything off until it hits the high anyway. Beautiful. 1 to 3 is off. Terms of targets now. So GU has broken retested. And GU's broken retest to the upside, but we've taken a whole bunch of liquidity. So I would expect this to take the highs and push back down given the take of liquidity to the upside. But given that, given the anti-trend based on what EU is doing, I would probably still go high for 1 to 7. Looks like it's just going to reverse anyway. So that's fine. That's worth the risk anyway. Like I said, on EU now, we've possibly got buyers in control, so we'll have a little look-see. 5 minute break, retest, and push. So this area of demand now holds weight. We've now induced further into this area down here, but this entire area of demand holds value anyway. So we can remove that and that. Hit 1 to 3 on that. Yeah. Like I said, the daily liquidity we've taken, it's not looking too juicy. You've got break, retest, and push. But this itself, like, it did take internal retest of shit here. So we're more or less expecting it to take this high. Will it? We'll see. Both are in points to buy. Let's see what we get. New York didn't actually give. We'll see if New York gave anything here. Uh, so New York, you've got break, retest. You can set that. Worth it if you'd like it. Very, very simple. Break and retest off of I think is that a 15-minute low? More or less, it is a 15-minute low. It's a valid demand, it's an inducement into mitigation, valid to set, especially off EU, what EU was doing at the time. Um, Given that you don't have the inducement in terms of liquidity, I don't love this because you have to hold this limit a long time, but it is valid. Um, cool, you'd be break even now. EU at the same time, it's a bit late now. You're not necessarily looking. EU didn't give anything here. We've just induced high. We're coming to take this liquidity, which we've obviously come and taken now. We've then had no breaks, break, retest, push. That's more or less my important retest. You've got internal structure here, which is retest as well. So all of this is now protected structure. But we've got equal highs sitting here, so I don't love this point. Cool. I hold. No. It's going to hold. There you go. So that protected structure ended up holding. I needed another confirmation after that. So that makes sense on why that held. And at the same time, you ripped absolutely nothing out of the market on GU. So valid trades, break even again. I'd move on to the next one. So all that making sense so far. And then we fucking tap and go. What a dog. Oh, G, yeah, GU would have been annoying. Nice. So valid on GU, just unlucky with the timing. Cool. I've skipped past a little bit, but we'll go and have a look. So 15-minute on GU. We've now taken the high again. Is it a break of structure? Pull down and break. Beautiful it is. Okay, so something you guys should understand, and this will help, because something I missed this week, and it's something that I've worked out, is when you have a daily take of liquidity, it very, very rarely goes off of the daily take. What it'll do is it'll now daily take, 15-minute inducement, and then it'll go. Okay, that's just what both are doing. It's what both have done. It's what the statistics say. So that's something just to take into consideration. Yeah, I was mentioning you took 50% when the left front. I got to stop the break even. No, beautiful. No, it makes sense to target at the top. Only thing, like I said, this will help you guys is medium inducement after a daily structure, after like a major take of liquidity, it's more than likely going to reverse. Okay. Just statistically, that's what it does. Okay. So based on EU, what have we got? Break, area of retest, push. Actually, move all me drawings now. That'll be annoying. Basically, what we've got is break, area of retest, push, then made equal highs. So this had every right to basically take this high and then sell. At the same time on GU, we obviously took that 15-minute inducement, broke retest here. We've got break, push, retest, push, take of retest, push. So this area is a strong area now that we've taken that retest and we've decided to push away from it, which is beautiful. So That's where that kind of started there. We've then got coming into the session. This is where I got caught out. Very, very valid to look for buys here, given break and retest and push, like I said. But given EU, it wasn't worth it. Okay. Only reason on EU, we didn't hadn't taken the retest yet, so we were in an area of a smart money trap. I believe both were worth buys. So based on that, it was worth actually looking. Okay. Now, in terms of what happened, we had a break here, and that was it. And at the same time, we had break on EU, and that was it. Okay. We obviously had this area of supply where we created that structure. So this area pushed into that point. We've respected supply after one break. This area does hold weight, but we need to wait for the second confirmation in this area. That is literally as simple as it came. You could have looked to sell back to that area, but we never got the second confirmation, and that was kind of the thing that made sense to not try and hold this. If you look off of this break here, you don't get obviously anything. You break, retest, and push. So now we've got an area of retest to come and target. Prices continues to melt down. So in terms of selling this, very, very hard. You have to go off the mitigation here, break, retest, and push, and that would be your limit to come and sell into here. Understanding that this area, given the higher time frame, is a smart money trap, and this is something I've journaled, is the higher time frame, major inducement, medium inducement. The next point is more likely a smart money trap. I will look to sell this given the statistics next time, okay? Especially given we didn't get a second confirmation, we just came into area of supply, okay? Based off the take of that liquidity, you could then look for a trade. So we now mark this out here like that. This area is now a strong area as we took a retest into a mitigation, long-term, bigger time frame. Very, very strong. And this area is obviously nothing. So we then got the mitigation off of a medium inducement down here. We haven't retested on the 15-minute on either pair. You can definitely look down here. You've got break, retest, and push. You've got your two confirmations. Worth setting the limit. Here, break, retest, push. Worth setting the limit. So if you don't trade on timing, if you didn't take this trade, I don't know what you're snorting, but medium inducement, higher time frame. Is that a break? Yeah. What's wrong with that break? Oh, that one's not a break. This one's a break. So all I'm doing is medium inducement, push, push, retest, and push. Not an internal break of structure. Sorry, I was seeing it as the second confirmation. I'm more viewing these as two legs with medium with inducement. So I think that makes sense. So I'm not viewing them as breaks. I'm viewing them as two legs with inducements into them, which makes them like that's an entry model, which is valid to look at. Okay. If you need your break, I understand you're not taking either of these. That's obviously your 1 minute range. But if I have two legs after a take of liquidity, I'll take something. So they were worth it in my opinion. Like I said, I don't trade at this time anyway, but these were worth it in my opinion. You just got to manage your break evens a little differently. So we'll obviously see what happens. This would have been deleted. That I would have gone break even after the take of the high. And you catch a break even on that one and nothing on that. So didn't play out anyway. You've then got push down here, and we'll jump on the 15 minutes. So what we're looking for is bearish confirmations with the retest. We've retested here, so we're nowhere bearish. So we now we're nowhere bearish on this pair. In terms of GU, what have we had? We had break and retest, and we've come into that area of demand here, but we've retested. Okay. Once you retest on that higher time frame, it's time to understand we're bearish. Okay. And we will speed up price to session. Enough that makes why that a reaction there. We're pretty close now. Cool. All right. So let's have a read and look what happened. All right. So this area, this is something I missed. Okay. So on EU, we've come into that area. We've then pushed through it. We've then externally medium induced into the rest of the mitigation of this area. So this was the area of that first leg that I marked out at the start, which is still valid to look for a trade. Okay. So we've taken bigger break and retest on the hourly. We've also taken break internal retest here. We've taken that internal retest and we've taken that internal retest. We've taken that 15-minute low. Lots of liquidity taken. Okay. At the same time, what has GU done? Break. This is retest, remember? So we've got break, retest, push. Mitigation of supply to demand. Okay. So that's something to take count of. Same time on EU. This area of demand, supply to demand area. But on the 15-minute, wasn't too concerned. Um, that is a 15-minute take of liquidity, but I more or less wasn't expecting this to hold. Okay, it can hold. Technically, that's break and retest here and push. So this is something to be concerned about, but it won't necessarily hold. Okay, on the open of both, sharp. My internal break realistically that I need to worry about where big ranges can kind of bite you in the ass a little bit. Break, retest, push, retest, push, retest, push, retest. Okay. And all of these areas are then protected demands, but this point outweighs them all, so you don't worry about them. Okay. That should actually open up a little bit of key to you guys in terms of what we look at. So we've got break, second confirmation, break. You can then set this. Okay. No entry. Same time. I don't think this broke the low. I reckon it's dead equal lows. Okay. So we've got inducement here, break, retest, push, retest, push, retest, push. Internal break, second confirmation. I forward tested this one. I think it was 7.2 pips. 7.2 pips. Where are we targeting? Break, retest here. So that's your break even. I think this makes sense. That's your break even. And then you're targeting either the equal highs. I'm not saying you've got equal highs, but they don't necessarily have to be taken. You can target the equal highs here for a 1 to 5. Your 1 to 3 has already been hit, so you've partialed out, and then you may target 1 to 5. EU, you don't get entered, so you delete. Okay. Does that entry make sense? In terms of the structure cycle, break, retest, push. It's now told me that it's bullish from this area of demand. We've then come into a supply to demand area that had retest. So we've got both ways working. I need to understand my inducement areas that are areas where I don't want to be in. External break, retest, push. Break and retest has been said 4 million times in this video, but hopefully it's helping you guys out. That's an entry we look at. No entry on EU. Taking your partials. I don't know where this goes. And we'll see. And this one I forward tested, like I said. Cool. So at the same time, you can also look for trades in the opposite direction. Okay. With this break and retest, you would kind of expect it to react off this area of supply, which is the final supply area, and kind of make a and we'll see. Like this area holds so much weight. So let's see what happens. I think it breaks the low. I want to say it breaks the low. Cool. I'm pretty sure it does. So I think on Oanda, this broke the low, which meant that this area, you've got break, 15-minute retest, take a 15-minute retest into a mitigation of a demand to supply, and push. This area held a lot of weight. I think on Oanda that broke. But this entry, even with the inducement, makes sense. Okay. because it doesn't retest the break either way. It didn't break and retest, which shows it's an inducement. So your next area would still be that invalidation. You've hit your 1 to 3. Given at this point, and this is what I think I did in the forward testing, is I just went for 1 to 3. Given that this point holds weight, it makes sense. Okay. Because I also tried to hedge in a sell. So does that, I think that entry makes sense. In terms of EU, it makes sense to come and take this because we haven't retested this 15-minute break yet. We don't know who's in control. At the moment, buyers are in control. Okay. We can obviously play the next area here. Cool. All right. So we've pushed through that area, which we knew was a strong area. Very, very beautiful. Okay. So we've broken the next 15-minute low again. Lots of ping pong this week. Induced into the mitigation of our extreme. We haven't retested this break yet, but we know this area holds a lot of weight because of what it is. Same time, EU did not break this low. So we're very, very 50-50, but this didn't break and retest either. So we don't know if we're inducing higher to then come low to push lower. It's very 50-50 here. If we read lower time frame price action, a small slight of demand here. Um, Either way, if we jump down to the 1 minute and we just try and read price action to work out which way we're going, we had break, retest, and push. Too early to set the limit. Let me speed up price a bit. Cool. Alrighty then. So this one I think I was worth a loss in my head. But given where we're coming from, it understands why I pushed through this. Okay, so EU, like I said, hasn't taken the low. Break, retest, push. Take a retest, push, retest, push. Okay. I said to everyone, this is worth the limit. The low one was given the inducement. Given we haven't broken the low and we haven't broken the high, we're very, very 50-50. So in my rules, I have criteria that if I'm taking continuation, I need to know where the continuation is heading. At the moment, we're very 50-50. We've taken a 15-minute low into a mitigation, we've taken a 15-minute high into a mitigation, and neither has confirmed that it's actually moving one way or the other. So it's very, very 50-50. So I need to wait. There wouldn't be no continuation entries based off of a 5 minute. It's just completely off the table. At the same time, we've obviously got G that's broke, retested here and push. It's then whether how you view it. I guess you could have take a retest, push. It then didn't retest again and push. So I'm now in a straight range from here to here. I'm expecting this to be taken. I said it was worth setting this here. Like I said, I didn't take it, and that's because of my rule on EU. I'm not sure who's in control. Same with G. I don't know who's in control. Okay. But that was worth it. If you were taking a loss here, very, very worth the entry. I think it's worth it. It's one that will statistically play out in your favor. Okay. I then took an entry for the inducement. This here. So this was my entry that got break even to the pip. So we had SMT here. External low holding, external low taken. Okay. Further into this mitigation. What that's then given me is retest on GU. Okay. So I now have a liquidity target that I know more than likely won't hold on GU that I didn't have before. Okay, so I now know with session volatility, we're inducing into a mitigation here. I now have retest to target, okay, which is key. I now have retest to target, okay? So I know more likely this area won't hold, okay? On EU, we're respecting that structure and we're 50-50. So at the moment, GU is giving me a slight edge telling me that we could return bullish to take liquidity, okay, to induce more buyers. At the time of this happening, we had break, push down, retest, and push. Given that at the same time GU induced a low and started to push, it gave, as you can see, it gave a break, a bullish break here. Same time, EU was inducing lower into that point, so it happened at the same time. We then had break, retest, and push on GU, which was valid to take. I don't know if any of you guys saw that entry. It's very, very quick. I was already in EU at the time, so I couldn't take it. But that entry was actually the A plus entry. I entered a continuation inducement entry covering the low. I had a 4.5 pip stop loss. Actually, I reckon I went 4.3. So inducement low, and all that is extreme demand, just anything below that low. Expecting that my break even is the take of this retest. That in order to continue lower, we're retesting. At the same time, GU is giving me bullish confirmation. So very, very high, um, hard entry to do. But it's based off an entry model that this is a smart money trap. Creating a smart money trap, I'm going to get an inducement of this as a minimum to go break even. And at the same time, GU actually gave an entry. So if you didn't see this, this was very, very clean. And funnily enough, I wish I had taken it because that's the one that went. And then I got slipped to about here with a 4.3 pip stop loss. Took partials here and then targeted the external high for a 1 to 8. Okay. I was break even after I took my partials because I don't believe in keeping it open as you take partials. And as you can see, you would have taken partials on GU as well. EU came all the way down. It actually took me out with spread here. So it took me out and then ran and took me out again for the 10th time and then ran and took the highs and went my full take profit. Like so. Okay. GU was the clean entry, was the nicer entry, and you would have targeted this demand here at a 1 to 7. Either or is valid. This week was very, very clean. You just have to read price action the right way. And kind of just wait for those entries. Okay. So very, very clean. That was the go with them. Like I said, got done a break even and then it ran to my full take profit. And then both reverse. Okay. So we've induced a 15-minute high now on GU, on EU. We've now got break, retest, and push. Okay. What I'll do is I'll remove all my fucking drawings so they're not in the way. Yeah. Cool. So break, retest, and push from a valid point to buy to. Okay. Medium inducement, break, retest, push, take of retest. At the same time, we've got break, retest, push on GU, but we've come into that area of supply, but both are in good areas to buy. Now, this one here, I believe, so when GU came into this area, what did it actually induce? Well, you've got internal break, area of retest. So it actually took that internal retest that we would have entered on before here, which is beautiful. So it's actually induced a lot of sellers now. We then had low break of structure. So I entered on a one entry confirmation entry. That's all I needed, given that EU had taken retest, was pushing down to take retest at the same time. Yeah, so risk entry for me. When price broke a second time, I left my limit here and held because at the same time EU came down and induced here. As I took this high, I went break even. No, I actually left this for a full loss. Yeah, so this just explains the New York rule and why I normally wouldn't take a trade. And as you see, price dies the fuck out. Kill and goes. So GU, very, very valid break even. Very valid. It missed my 1 to 3 by the smallest amount. Would have been nicer to be in this one, but very, very valid nonetheless. Like I said, two entry confirmation off of here. It's then come into that area of supply, which happens to be enough. But either way you look at it, we've got momentum of buyers. It's worth getting in on this entry here as it respects that supply. You go break even, you catch that. Like I said, I entered off the first entry and it didn't hit my 1 to 3 there. And then EU didn't give that confirmation at all off of this. So EU, I was looking for at the same time I stayed up. If I could get some type of break. So you've got push down, no second confirmation to the downside. If I get any break to the upside, I'm entering this, understanding buyers are in control. Buyers just never gain control and win. So that is all the trades there. I think the week ends basically there. Yeah. So break even, 1 to 7. Um, really, really nice. I mean, you would probably target here for a 1 to 5. So 1 to 5, break even, 1 to 3, 1 to 6, 1 to 7, 1 to 6, EU, break even. Yeah, sure. I'll do a video and I'll add it in. So 1 to 8, which was a break even, which is just fucking unlucky. 1 to 3, which wasn't hit here, so break even. And 1 to 6, which I took here. So GU was the pair this week, but lots of valid trades. Funny enough, no sells, which sucks. So, is there any questions on that? I'll do a video and I'll add in my session indicator for you guys too. Any question on any of those entries? Nah, like I said, daily take liquidity, 15-minute inducement, just sell. In terms of the timing of sells, there just was none. And that was the problem this week. And where I made my mistakes is I kept buying because at the time of the session, buys were the go. We were inducing low every time. Um, Quite frustrating to be completely honest. There was just no way to get in sells around our session timing. Um, Dog of a thing. Yeah, yep, that was the only one. Um, yeah, tough. But this trade, this first trade of the week, yeah, was the trade of the week. Um, Been nice. Cool. Let me end that there.